There may be 90 kinds of atoms. There may be 150. I know there's a lot. So if I decide to use that overview, I'm going to go back and check those facts. But I got something down on paper, and that makes me feel good. Well, I know the word origin is correct. I've got the word comes from the Greek atomos, which means indivisible. So I could develop my entire essay around the origin of the word atom. I like that one a lot. Then I decided to do the parts of the atom. Number 3, 4, 5, 6, I have electrons, neutrons, protons, and nucleus. I'm not 100% sure, again, that those are really parts of an atom, but I know those words are important and some of them are indeed parts. But at least I've got something down. I can always go back and check and make sure that my facts are indeed correct. So what I've done is I've figured out 3 different ways that I could potentially develop this essay. An overview of the different kinds of atoms, that's my number 1. The origin of the word atom, that's my number 2. And parts of the atom, number 3, 4, 5, and 6. Any one of these methods would help me develop my essay, and I've now broken through my writer's block and I've organized my essay. Now what I would like you to do is to try this pre-writing activity about atoms another way. This time, use the brainstorming method. It's similar to listing, but it isn't numbered, and it doesn't have to make that much sense. You're just trying to get your brain going, so you're jotting down ideas as you think of them. It's almost like a free association exercise. Don't worry about logic, don't worry about order. Just concentrate on generating ideas. Give yourself no more than perhaps 5 minutes, if that. Maybe you could do it in 2 or 3 minutes. But try to get down as much as you can. Then come back. Here's what I brainstormed. Periodic table. Each element has a symbol. E equals mc squared. Mass and energy are variations of each other. Fission. Laser light, the result of the atom's electrons giving off light energy as they jump back toward the nucleus. And laser light can be brighter than the sun. You'll notice that these topics are all over the place, but that's fine. You've broken through, you've gotten your ideas down. Now what you do is you choose the idea or the ideas that you want to develop into an essay. Remember, these are very low pressure ways of getting your ideas down, so you don't want to sit there and agonize over this. You just want to concentrate on opening your mind and getting it going. Looking at my list, lasers alone would make a wonderful topic. For example, what are the latest ways that lasers are being used in consumer electronics? How are lasers being used in medicine? How are lasers being used in research? So I would just take that one idea, the idea of lasers, branch off from that and do my entire essay based around lasers. You might do something on the periodic table, for example, or you might do something on Einstein, E equals mc squared. But I've got enough here that I could get at least 1 and maybe 2 or even 3 essays. Let's keep going. What I'd like you to do now is to use the webbing method of pre-writing. Now I'd like you to create a web about some important milestones in the history of our understanding of the atom. Again, you may need to do a little bit of research. Maybe use a science textbook, an online resource, or some other resource that you may have. When you're finished, come back. Notice that all the details in my web are on the same topic, milestones in the understanding of the atom. In the middle, I wrote milestones in understanding the atom. And I decided to go with 4 separate circles. My first one, I had John Dalton, 1808, Modern Atomic Theory. My second one, Amedeo Avogadro, 1811, he measured atomic mass. My third one, James Chadwick, in 1932, the existence of neutrons. And my last one, Murray Gell-Mann, in 1963, and quark theory. I tried to parallel these because it was easier for me to write this way. So in each case, I have the person's name, the date, and what aspect of understanding the atom the person discovered or invented or created. And I kept it sort of loose because I wasn't, again, 100% sure that I understood every part of it. But I put down enough that I can now go look it up and I can organize my essay accordingly. So this particular method of brainstorming, this webbing, is a more focused way of getting my ideas down. Everything here has a scientist, a date, and the specific breakthrough. Also notice that I don't necessarily have a clear method of organization. I don't know where I'm going to do it, but by putting down the dates, I have actually put myself into a method of organization. I've got chronological. So just by doing this webbing, I actually formed my method of organization. I would start with 1808, then I would go to 1811, then I would go to 1932, then I would go to 1963. So it flows very logically. Webbing is especially successful if you already have an idea organized in your mind, but that's not always the case. The very act of webbing can help you come up with ideas as well as organize them. So you don't have to necessarily know exactly where you're going. I find webbing works very well for people who are good visual thinkers. People who are able to imagine things in their mind find that webbing helps them break through. Now, let's try the free writing method of pre-writing. Let's stick with our same topic, the components of the atom. When you free write, remember you just start writing. You don't worry about your grammar, you don't worry about your spelling, you don't run a spell check. The point is just to get something down. In real free writing, you never lift your pen or your pencil up from the page. If you run out of ideas, you just make loops. Try to keep writing, even if you're not really on focus, because the act of writing frees up your mind to generate ideas. Stay on the topic of atoms, and when you're done, come back. Here's my free writing. Atoms of different elements differ in the number of protons and electrons they have. Atoms also differ in mass. Atoms with more protons, such as uranium, which has 92 protons, tend to be larger than atoms with fewer protons, such as, and I didn't know the answers, so I put question marks. You'll notice that the underlined sentence doesn't fit. It really has nothing to do with my topic. But that's okay. I didn't censor myself. I left that in there. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Maybe something, maybe nothing, but it's there. And as long as it's there, I might be able to work with it. Also notice I really couldn't remember any atom with fewer protons than uranium. And rather than stop and look it up because I'm free writing, I just put in some question marks as a placeholder. Now I do remember, so I'll write lead, which has only 83 protons. Even if I didn't remember, once I've stopped free writing, I can go back to my source and I can look up what I need and fill it in the slot. I've got a direction now to my essay, and I've broken through my writer's block. Even if I just get 2 or 3 sentences down on paper, I've got enough there that I can branch off in different directions and I can start planning and writing my essay. Finally, let's try to use the 5 W's and the H. method of pre-writing, this time about the Chernobyl nuclear power plant disaster in 1986. Answer who, what, when, where, why, and how for this event. You may have to do a little bit of research. When you're finished, come back. Here's my 5 W's and the H. Under who, I have 47 workers died directly in the accident. As many as 9,000 people died from subsequent radioactive exposure. 300,000 people were resettled. Under my what, I have a chain reaction out of control at an atomic reactor. My when was April 26, 1986. Decades later, the land is still too radioactive to farm. Where? Well, it was the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Pripyat, Ukraine. Why? The causes are still open to debate. We're not sure if it's a design flaw or human error or perhaps both. And how? The explosions, it was a huge fireball, broke open the protective casing on the reactor. Radioactive atoms were released into the environment, and they were felt all over the northern hemisphere. Notice that this form of brainstorming uses a great deal of detail. This is especially useful for people who like facts, who want to do research, or who know a topic in detail. It's also a very good method if you've got to write a research paper or any other specific kind of writing where you're going to need a lot of detail. This helps you get that detail down. And that way you can discover if you know it or you don't know it. Now, if you don't know it, you can always look it up. But if you are in a situation like a high-stakes test, perhaps, where you can't look it up, this tells you early on to leave that particular topic and go on to another one where you can get specific detail. This method is also very reassuring because it's specific. That helps break through writer's block because you see a lot of information on your page, and that reduces the panic that you may feel when you say to yourself, oh gosh, I can't write this, I don't know anything at all about the topic. Well, obviously you do because you have all this information down on your page. So now we've generated ideas for the same topic, atoms, in many different ways. You can now tell that there are a lot of great pre-writing techniques that you can use very simply and very easily to break through writer's block. Which ones are you going to use? Try them all, depending on your topic, your purpose, and your audience. So now what I would like you to do is pause the program and try this. Use one of the pre-writing techniques for this topic. Should teachers assign homework? Why or why not? You can use any one of the pre-writing techniques that you like. When you're finished, come back. Should teachers assign homework? Why or why not? I chose to use the pre-writing technique of charting. Here's what my chart looks like. Now remember, your pre-writing technique may be very different from mine, and it doesn't matter. As long as you got something down on paper that you can use, you have successfully broken through writer's block. My chart, on the left, I wrote the reasons why teachers should assign homework. Homework reinforces classwork. Homework checks understanding, and homework helps to cement skills. On the right, I wrote the reasons why not. Homework is a waste of time. Well, I can only come up with one reason why they shouldn't, but I have 3 reasons why they should. So now I think I'll probably develop this essay that teachers should assign homework. I've spent perhaps 2 or 3 minutes and I've broken through my writer's block by using pre-writing techniques. Number 2,